Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and I wanted to start off with something light before we get into the whole, I guess you say, more rantish part of the superhero section. But yeah, let's begin here. And one of the few things I wanted to talk about is what if Paul actually got Blaze out of Chimchar? Like, what if he actually managed to unlock it through his own methods? And how would this change the dynamic between him and Ash? How would the battles change? How would their teams change? How would everything change as a whole here? How would Paul basically be? What would he be if he actually got this kind of power? Would he change his ways or would he double down on it? And the best way we could actually get this from him is the Heart Home City tag team battle, excuse me, with him and Turtwig. Because again, this was the perfect moment where Chimchar could have unlocked his blaze. And believe it or not, this could have been the pivotal point between him and Ash's rivalry, forever changing that dynamic as a whole here. And the way we would have to do it is we would have to go to that moment with the Zangoose, where it has Chimchar pinned and just frightened, terrified for his life. And in all honesty, the only thing we really need to change in this part here is really Paul. You see, Paul turning his back on Chimchar was probably one of the dumbest things imaginable. Again, yes, you want Blaze. You think this is the perfect moment for Blaze here. But at the same time, this could have been the moment where Paul not only belittles Chimchar in a way, but also encourages him, telling him to think back to that night where those Zangoose attacked him, telling him that, yes, you were weak at that moment like you are weak now. But remember how you overcame that weakness. You tapped into that power, the power that was destructive and out of control. You tapped into it, right? So, what he's basically doing here is, in his own way, yes, it's motivational, but it's also kind of like talking down to him, telling Chimchar that he'd be nothing. He would have discarded him long ago if he couldn't do this. So, prove him wrong. Prove that he's worthy of his admission, his respect, and his care. And this is where Chimchar basically responds to that in unlocking Blaze. Probably much more deadlier than what Paul saw, and he would have gone on to one shot that Zangoose and that Metagross, just like in the original, except without Turtwig's help. Now, in all honesty, this changes a lot here. Paul and Ash would definitely go to win that battle here. Elekid still evolves into Electabuzz here, but everything just changes. Like, there are so many things that change between Ash and Paul at this point than anything. Paul doesn't release him, and instead he lets Chimchar out his Pokeball to tell him, let's go. And again, remember, Paul usually had Chimchar by his side walking and training. And this means Paul would have actually been able to get Blaze out of Chimchar now. Now, would he go on to catch Magmar and then evolve into a Magmortar? Yes. Yes, I do think he would here. Now, you might say, Legendary, why would he do that? Because Paul showed way too much interest in Magmortar, or at least Magmar, during the tournament. Magmortar also is a perfect fit for Paul as well, especially with, him having a balance between offensive and defensive Pokemon pretty easily. But also, this changes Ash a lot here. He doesn't have Infernape. He won't get Infernape in the end here. And without his regional ace, without that fire type on his team, it changes everything drastically for him. So, what would Ash's ace be here? And in all honesty, I think it's pretty simple. Lucario. Remember that Riolu that Ash saved from Hunter J and they had a bond? Yeah, I think he would definitely catch that specific Riolu. Let's just say they bump into each other and they fight off another Pokemon, but this time Riolu wants to go with Ash. And, well, I don't see any ifs, ands, or buts about it. He just catches him. And considering this Riolu could just come with the abilities like Vacuum Wave and so on and so forth, yeah, Ash gets a pretty powerful Pokemon for its, I guess you could say, for its first stage. Now, Paul would go on to catch Gliscor, but Ash wouldn't be there this time. No, I do think Paul would still catch a fair deal of his Pokemon, and Ash would probably never meet Gliscor at this time. Because it would probably be handled in such a different way that I don't think Ash would be needed. Paul goes on to catch Drapion and meets Ash again here, and then in all honesty, I don't really see anything changing too much here, except when during one of the training matches between Paul, Electabuzz, and actually Chimchar here, who's now utilizing Blaze here. Paul is teaching Chimchar how to control it. And in the midst of controlling it, he also evolves into Monferno and learns Mach Punch. However, it's able to control its Blaze, at least to a degree to where Paul can give it orders and it could at least hit its target. Now, let's fast forward to the not Heartsome sitting back tag battle of Pyramiding Rage, excuse me. And this is where Paul and Brandon meet again and they have their matchup here. Now, Paul's team is possibly a little bit different here. And I would definitely have it to where his team is now much stronger because now that he has a Blaze powered Chimchar, he could use it to not only build Chimchar up, or build Monferno up, excuse me, but to build his other Pokemon. And I actually think Paul would definitely get Magmortar a bit sooner here. Now, to the fight with Brandon. I would definitely have Nidoking not only put up a better fight against Brandon, but actually land a Fire Blast. But this is where Reggie still takes him out, just like in the original, but it's a lot more damage. Magmortar comes in, and he uses a flamethrower to take it out. Regirock comes out and definitely, excuse me, takes out Magmortar here. However, this is where Paul sends out his final Pokemon, that being Monferno. So, Monferno actually lands a devastating Mach Punch against Regirock. However, Regirock overwhelms it with a Stone Edge. However, it doesn't go down. Monferno activates Blaze and uses a combination of close combat with Mach Punch, and due to its speed and now its added boost in power with Blaze, it straight up mauls Regirock at this point here. And keep in mind, everyone watching this would be in utter shock here that Monferno was not only able to overcome Regirock, but straight up tear it apart. This leaves Brandon with just Regice. And while I do think, Monferno did sustain a lot of damage here, the Blaze here being stronger than when it was originally, being automatic, being controlled, and now under Paul's ruthless command and tactics, I think it would be a point in the matchup here where Regice gets badly injured and Brandon forfeits the match. Like, tells Paul, like, hey, whoa, hey, chill out. Chill. You won. However, I don't think he would give him a badge because, again, per Battle Frontier rules, I definitely think that, he just wouldn't get the badge here. Now, let's talk about the Lake Acuity fight. And in all honesty, I don't see too much of this changing, except we have Gabite again, and instead of Gliscor here, because we'll give Ash just Gibble earlier. Now, Paul's team would pretty much remain a little bit the same here, except I would definitely switch out Hariyama with Ursaring and Weavile with Drapion, and then Honchkrow with obviously Monferno. And this battle actually goes a lot tougher for Ash here. I actually think he just barely takes out Hariyama, and it'll be with Buizel, who evolves into a Floatzel. And then at the end of the battle, it would actually be Lucario versus Monferno. And yeah, I would definitely have that here as well, with, Riolu evolving to Lucario. Ash will go on to train his other Pokemon. And in all honesty, I don't think too much would change here. Because, again, his team would be much stronger than it was originally here. But I also think Ash would definitely work harder with understanding his Pokemon, thanks to Riolu and his Aura Bond. Even being able to sense Torterra's dismay. And here's the thing. Ash would probably focus on Torterra a bit more in this timeline. Meaning that Torterra honestly could get to the potential that he should have been in the original anime, which in my opinion would have been the Snorlax of the team. Basically, he can get KOs, but he's not the ace. He's basically a pseudo ace, if you will. The secondary ace. And I definitely think Ash would now have to teach Torterra more ground type moves here. I definitely see him keeping Rock Climb and Leaf Storm and being able to combine those two. However, Ash being probably a bit smarter, and definitely was a lot smarter in Sinnoh than any other league he was in, maybe minus Kalos here, but I definitely see Torterra getting Toxic and Priestess Blades. Yeah, I definitely can see Torterra learning those attacks here. The reason why I would say Torterra learning those attacks here is because, number one, it would actually be very befitting if Torterra did get this kind of ground type move and learns it from maybe just watching one encounter, or maybe it develops it on accident and, well, it just keeps it from there. It's a very powerful move here. Now, onto the Sinnoh League, right? And in all honesty, I wouldn't change a thing. Paul beats Barry the same way. Ash beats Conway and Nando the same way. Everything goes the same here. But now, when it comes to Ash and Paul's battle, we get different results here. Aggron versus Pikachu plays out the same way it did in the original. However, Lucario comes in and Paul has a surprise for it, and that's Fire Blast. Believe it or not, Aggron can learn these kind of moves. It can learn also Shockwave and Water Pulse if need be. So having it learn Fire Blast definitely is something up Paul's sleeve. Meaning that Lucario gets a bad burn, and due to Aggron's, well, sturdiness in general, it takes a while before it can get to knockout, and this means that, well, Lucario's not only burned, but is a little worn out. Next up, we have Gastrodon versus Staraptor, and that plays out the same here. However, when Ash switches out to Floatzel, it actually is able to land a powerful Ice Fang, takes a, I guess you say kind of takes a Ice Beam here because it still uses the Aqua Jet as a shield here, and then lands a devastating Ice Punch to the gut, KOing it. Yeah, pretty simple. However, this is where the change comes in here. And instead of having Drapion, I'm going to have Nidoking be the one that is actually able to take down Staraptor and Buizel, and is able to, set up Toxic Spikes on the field here. Now, Ash would be kind of in a dilemma here, because he just lost Staraptor, just lost Buizel, and Paul only has lost 2 Pokemon so far. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, Ash and Paul are pretty even here. But again, the show must go on here. And now with Toxic Spikes on the field, and now no Pokemon to really get rid of it, it puts Ash in a dilemma. And this is where I think he would send out his Garchomp. Now, with Nidoking not having any Ice-type moves here, and him having Poison Jab, Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, and Toxic Spikes here, it would definitely prove to be a formidable match for Garchomp. However, I see Garchomp taking it down, high difficulty. However, Paul sends out Frostlass as his 4th Pokemon, his 4th Pokemon here, and eliminates Garchomp with an Ice Beam. Garchomp would still be heavily damaged from the Nidoking fight because Nidokings are just broken beyond belief. And then we have the encounter with Pikachu. Now, this goes the same as the original, except for one teeny tiny thing here. Frostlass has one extra move up his sleeve. It basically take away the Icicle Crash and stuff like that. However, when Pikachu goes in for a Volt Tackle, Frostlass tanks it and activates Destiny Bomb. Meaning when Frostlass gets KO'd, Pikachu gets KO'd. Leaving them both with now, let's see here, I think that's just 2 Pokemon each. I know, crazy, ain't it? So Paul sends out his next Pokemon, and that's going to be, obviously, Electivire. Now you might say, whoa. Electivire is not last? No, because remember, no Ninjask, no Drapion. We switched them out with different Pokemon. And Ash would send out his Torterra. Now, Paul may have actually been prepared for this. Now, I actually do see this in this alternate timeline where Paul actually does have, unlock Chimchar's Blaze. He would actually prepare his other Pokemon. And with Electivire still being one of his, if not his best fighter, I definitely see him keeping things like Brick Break, but adding Ice Punch as well. And with Protect, it proves a high difficulty match for Torterra. And Torterra does manage to land some blows here. He lands a Rock Climb. He lands a Leaf Storm. However, the finishing move is Precip Blades at a point-blank range, with Torterra still being able to connect an Ice Punch. Now, this means that Paul is now at a 2-1 advantage, but Torterra has taken so much damage that when Infernape comes out, it's a one-shot. And this is where I would have the final battle being Lucario, now poisoned, tired, and somewhat burned, against an Infernape. And this is where Paul tells Infernape to activate Blaze. However, Ash doesn't give up. And this is where he and Lucario resonate with each other again and activate their Aura Bond. Now, this is where everything kind of takes a turn here. Lucario is somehow keeping up with, Infernape and its Blaze power. However, again, the power distribution or the power ratio here is just too much of a gap. And unfortunately, it comes down to Lucario trying to use a reversal, but Infernape manages to overpower it and land a Flare Blitz, winning Paul the matchup here. Ash loses to Paul once again. And again, it's kind of obvious here. Type disadvantage, field disadvantage, strategic disadvantage. Paul won this. However, this does give Paul a change of heart here, because he sees that because of the bond Ash had with his Pokemon, he still almost won. Now, Paul would definitely go on to fight Tobias, and I would definitely say he does well against Darkrai and Latios, but whatever third Pokemon it has, it's just too much for him at that point. Now, on to Journeys. Paul may actually just become a frontier brain. I definitely see him being a part of the Sinnoh Battle Frontier as definitely one of the brains here, and definitely be one of the toughest, if not the strongest brain out there. However, for his appearance in Journeys, probably keep it the same. If not, he's a participant in the Masters 8. But that's going to be all I have for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I'll see you guys for the next video. Peace.